Stephen A., how much is he to blame?
Oh, LeBron's to blame, without question. And the reason why is because he's the leader. He's the leader. The fact of the matter is that when he's absolutely right when he speaks of the absence of sustained energy. All right, that's number one. Number two, they clearly can't defend. They're giving up more than 111 points per game. They're like the fifth worst team defensively in the NBA and second worst in defensive deficiency, only better than the Dallas Mavericks in the entire NBA. They can't defend the pick and roll with any degree of efficiency. They're getting ready to go up against the Washington Wizards, which is what we should keep our eyes on, because John Wall and those boys had better step up. This is what they do. And the Cavs have a liability defending the pick and roll, and you combine that with the fact that John Wall and Bradley Beal excel in pick and roll situations, particularly with Martin Gortat. It's going to be real interesting to see what Cleveland does when they roll into Chocolate City Friday night. No question about that. But to answer the question directly, this is in part the responsibility of LeBron James. We know he's the best in the world. We know that his numbers, he's averaging more than 25 a game. He's doing his job, but it ain't just his job to play. It's his job to lead, because he's constantly called these guys his guys. In the midst of these guys having these troubles, absence of chemistry, energy, etc., guess what? Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics have won 6 straight. He's balling and he's leading without the services of Gordon Hayward. If he could do that with a bunch of young pups in Boston without Gordon Hayward, he could beat the San Antonio Spurs. He can beat the Milwaukee Bucks and other teams, and they could win 6 straight. How come Cleveland can't do this with the squad that they have, even if you don't have Isaiah Thomas? You know why you're not doing it? Because of the absence of energy. It's an absence of focus. It's things, the energy level, the cohesiveness just doesn't seem to be there. They're not defending with fervor. And these things are the kind of things you look to leaders to absolve and rectify. Yes, Tyronn Lue is the coach, and there's some culpability, and he's got to figure it out too. But LeBron James has been on the record for many, many years calling himself the leader. And he doesn't have Kyrie to lean on now to get it done for him when he needs help. The J.R. Smiths of the world, Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, and others. Kevin Love, to some degree, is doing his part, but others need to step up, and we have to look at the king, who is the leader, to help resolve it.
It's not a representative sample size, first of all. You know, like until you get to 20-something games, you really don't know. Now, after 20-something games, 22, 25 games, you'll actually be able to call the playoff picture pretty accurately. You know, after that number of games, whoever's ranked where is usually more or less how
Max,
the season
but that's not
ends.
the question. That wasn't the question.
I understand. But so it's not really a representative sample size so far. So when we ask how much is LeBron to blame, sure, Stephen A., you're right. He's a lot to blame. He'll be as much to blame for this as he will be, or is as much to blame for this as he will be for where the Cavs wind up in the playoffs, right? If they don't get out of the East, he'll be blamed for that too. He is as much to blame for this as he is to blame for 7 straight finals appearances. That, you know, I mean, yes, it's about LeBron James. And without another ball handler who can shoot, get to the paint, and finish or make good decisions with the ball, as Kyrie does, as Isaiah Thomas does, without that other guy, the Cavs are not going to be, they might not get out of the East even. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. He needs that other guy. So this season will come down to Isaiah and whether or not he can do that. But for right now, this is LeBron's process. We've seen it before. In fact, just about every season we see it since he's been in Cleveland. He has a group of guys. He starts to figure out, how is this all going to work? How are these pieces going to fit together? We know he doesn't play defense early in the season because he has his eyes on the prize. He has the big picture in mind. He's aging. He doesn't have the legs to play both sides of the ball for 82 games and then in the playoffs and then into the finals. Think about the fact that the NBA postseason, if you go to the finals, is almost like in most sports, that's a whole season. You know, if you play 2 or 3 of those in a row, you add an extra season, and he went to 7 of those in a row, plus Olympics. You know, I mean, the guy just is pacing himself because he knows he has to. So early in the season, this is what he does. He's evaluating the team. He hasn't put the pedal to the metal yet. It is his fault, so to speak, that they're off to a slow start. It'll also be his fault, so to speak, when they get to the finals again this year, as always.
Well, I appreciate your point. So let's just cancel First Take and not talk about basketball the rest of the season, since you want to proclaim what LeBron James is going to be at the end. We are entitled to chronicle things as they take place. Just 24 hours ago, I'm on the airwaves telling you that LeBron James doesn't deserve to be judged, until April, May, and June, because that's what his legacy is based upon. We know that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that after I'm saying after last night's game, we're entitled to ask the question about what's going on right now. And that's what we're doing. We're not sitting there and saying, condemn LeBron James. He's not going to do X, Y, and Z. We're saying 8 games in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, how much responsibility is he culpable for? And where it's relevant with him is you don't get on him about his game, but you can get on him about leadership, because he says he's the leader. And when you have Kyrie in Boston balling the way that he's balling, when you're struggling right now, when D. Wade was starting and then went to the bench, when JR went to the bench and then he's starting, and you see the lack of energy and fervor and interest that the Cleveland Cavaliers they just don't seem to have right now. Sure, you're confident that they'll rectify it, but it is somewhat alarming, because you know what he can do. When I say LeBron James doesn't need to be questioned, I'm talking about his game and what he brings to the table. If you're looking at LeBron James performing, and you're saying, well, he's not performing well, no, that's nonsense. You pay no attention to that in November, because you know what he's going to bring. But when you look at the parts around him, and you get the sense that there are guys who don't want to play, guys who are not focused, guys who are not giving max effort, now that's a different issue, because that's not just about
and what
that.
I'm
That's
saying
about something
is,
else.